We're recording now.
Thank you. This is a meeting of the Board of Zoning Adjustments. Tonight we have one item. So that will be the first item. And on each item, staff will present first and the applicant second. Next, the public will be invited to comment, then the board will discuss. Now I'm going to turn it over to you, Thomas, to explain the rules of decorum.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to share some rules of decorum for our public participation section. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. For more information about this vision and the community engagement processes, please visit our website. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupt or otherwise impede the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to identify themselves using the name they are commonly known by and must display their whole name before being allowed to speak. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online. When given the opportunity to speak, hover your mouse or your finger if you're on your phone over the bottom section of your screen to show the control panel and then click raise hand. When it's your turn, the host will adjust the setting and then you will see the option to unmute. If you don't see the raise hand option here, you might also see a reaction button, which you can expand to then show the raise hand button. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first item, let me just get to my instructions. So first thing is to just go over voting. So we have a full house tonight, a quorum, and everybody's here. An affirmative vote of 3 or more board members shall result in passage of the motion. An applicant cannot be approved with less than 3 affirmative votes. If the first vote taken on a motion to approve or deny an application results in a tie, 2-2, the applicant shall be allowed a rehearing. A tie vote on any subsequent motion to approve or deny shall result in defeat of the motion and denial of the application. A vote of 2-1 or 1-2 on a motion shall in all respects be considered a tie. So first I'm going to call this. I do want to say before this matter begins that I do know Katerina Shar as a community member. I'd be hard pressed that there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that I do know, having been here so many years. And I do feel that we're not close neighbors, and I don't see in any way that it would affect my ability to be objective. But if anybody has a question about that, now would be the time to bring it up. Okay, thank you so much. So Robbie, we're going to do BOZ. I can see if I can find the number. 2024-00007 for 665 Maxwell Avenue.
Correct. And just before I get into the description, I just want to bring up a couple things. The board was provided with last minute letters of support, and there was one letter of opposition that has now been added to the packet, and then they were emailed to you earlier today. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that. And then also there was some questions going around about the public notice from a member of the public, and staff did verify that everything public notice wise was done appropriately. So if the board feels the need to bring that up, Jill, as the chair, you can definitely do that, but staff did verify that everything was done as required. So unless there's any need to go into that further, I can dive right into the application.
I think the one thing I want to say is when I read through the emails, it sounded as if the person who wrote in read a different code. Is that right? That we comply?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
City of Boulder just happens to be in Boulder County, so sometimes people get the two codes confused, but they are completely different. But yep, everything was done as required.
Thank you.
So unless there's need to talk about that more, I will go right into the items. So this is docket number BOZ 2024-00007. 00007. And the address is 665 Maxwell. And let me share my screen. And is the board, it looks a little different on my end, so I want to make sure everything, do you see the presentation? Okay,
Yes,
thank you. So again, this is 665 Maxwell Avenue. This is a setback variance as part of a proposal for a 40 square foot addition to the back of an existing non-standard single family home on a substandard sized lot. The applicant is requesting a variance to the single family, is a variance to the standard single, I'm sorry, a standard to the setback standards for an RL1 zoning district for both the rear north and side adjacent to street east setbacks. The resulting rear north setback taken from the subject addition will be approximately 15 feet, 8 inches, where 25 feet is required, and approximately 21 feet, 2 inches taken from the current north extent of the home exists today. And the resulting side adjacent to street east setback taken from the subject addition will be approximately 7 feet, where 25 feet is required due to a front yard adjacency to the north, and approximately 6 feet 11 inches taken from the current east extent of the home exists today. Section of the land use code to be modified, section 971, Boulder Revised Code 1981. And up on the screen, I have the location of the property. Again, it is a substandard sized lot. And we did receive 3 letters from surrounding properties, 2 letters of support, and I have those denoted as the green stars to the east and west of 665 Maxwell. And then we received 1 letter of opposition today from 652 Concord, and that is the property to the northwest across the alley. And those were again provided in both email and are now a part of the packet application should the board want to look into those more. And this just gives you an aerial view, and I circled in red the location of the subject 40 square foot addition that the board is considering tonight. And you can see based on the survey on the right that the property is both substandard in size and non-standard in the setbacks. It does not meet today's setbacks as it sits today. And I have another diagram that provides a little more clarity on that. And these are just some street view as well as some provided photos within the application by the applicant. And the 2 images on the top show more specifically where this addition is to be located. And currently it's stairs accessing the interior, but due to code compliance and wanting to update this along with a few other things on the historic home, a setback variance is required. But the 2 upper images show the exact location of where this 40 square feet is going to be added onto the property. And then that's just a corner view of the property from both 7th and Maxwell, the lower image. And these are some interior photos. There were more provided within the application materials, just showing you the interior configuration as well as why new entrance and more space is needed. And also with the existing code, kind of how it looks at the existing conditions and why the applicant is needing to bring it up to code. So tonight there are 2 separate setbacks as a part of the overall application.
awesome. Thank you.
The first one is the rear north setback, and that is a request for approximately 15 feet 8 inches from the addition, where 25 feet is required and approximately 21 feet 2 inches exists today. This is the property's rear yard setback, so that's why there's the 25-foot requirement. And then the second variance that the board is considering tonight is around the corner from the north setback, and that is the side adjacent to street east setback. And they are requesting approximately 7 feet, again, from the addition where 25 feet is required, and approximately 6 foot 11 inches exists today. And even though this is a site adjacent to street, because of the adjacency rule, the property to the north having a front yard along 7th Avenue, this site adjacent to street is required to act as a second front yard, essentially. So that is where the 25-foot requirement comes in. So 665 Maxwell has 3 25-foot yard setbacks, and then they've got the typical interior side setback on the west side. But as the building sits today, a good chunk of it is already in the site adjacent to street as well as the rear yard setback. And they are wanting to modify the current entrance, ingress, and egress while also making it code compliant, hence the 40 square foot addition. And the applicant can probably go into a little more detail in terms of the specifics of what that is when I am completed. And this just gives you some architectural drawings of, again, that small addition to the back of the house. I just focused on the east elevation as well as the north rear elevation, since nothing else is being done to the remainder of the house that requires BOZA's consideration. And these are some 3D drawings of the 40 square foot addition. The lower right image gives you a better view without the fence and the vegetation of what it's ultimately going to look like. And right now there's a screened in area just adjacent to this, and that's going to be turned into glass windows, but that actually does not require the BOZA variance because they're just replacing windows. But the addition of the 40 square feet is what's triggering the variance tonight. So with that, a little bit in the way of some zoning information, it is zoned RL1 and the lot size is 4,557 square feet. Typically in RL1, 7,000 is the minimum that we see. And existing and proposed building coverage, well, the proposed building coverage, including the addition, will come in at around 1,425 square feet. And the maximum allowed for this property is 1,868. So they're under the allowed floor area for this property. And I think I just switched my words. That is building coverage. Floor area, the maximum allowed is 2,825 feet. And with this small addition, the proposed floor area will be 2,453 square feet. Sorry, I mixed my building coverage and floor area up there. And then solar access area 1, due to the size and location of the addition, it will not create any issues. And the same holds true for side yard wall articulation and side yard bulk plane. Due to the design and the location of the addition, they will not be impacted. And height will not be changed. And currently the height is around 26 feet and the maximum allowed for this property is 28 feet. And then a little bit in the way of history. The home was built circa 1902 and Boulder's zoning regs were actually established in the 1920s. So this house predates Boulder's zoning regs. And it is considered a contributing structure to the Mapleton Hill Historic District. And historic review and LAC for the subject addition has been reviewed through application HIS 2024-00096. The applicant is not utilizing criterion 4, even though they responded to it within their application. The Landmarks Board did not explicitly provide that criterion 4 support as is required for them to take it to BOZA, but they did also respond to criterion 1 and 5. And with that, that is what staff used when determining our recommendation. We are recommending support of the application as it has been presented. Given the existing conditions of the site, that it's substandard in size, and also the existing conditions of the property and the location of the house that predates our zoning regs as we see them today, we do feel that it's a modest and appropriate request. We did hear back from surrounding properties. Some of the concerns that were presented regarded the respecting the 25-foot setback, but staff also recognizes that this is a secondary front yard, to put it simply, and that the building existed prior to that standard going into place. So with that, they just want to utilize an existing entrance, ingress, egress. They want to bring it up to code. Staff feels that it's a modest and appropriate request, and we are recommending support as it has been presented. So I will leave it at that. I can answer any questions that you may have, and I know that we also have a representative of the application here as well.
Thank you, Robbie. So do people have questions for staff?
So was it approved with the Landmarks Board, the modification?
So I looked at the landmark alteration certificate. Although it's not closed, they did provide support of the overall design. So whether or not it's full approval, I'm not sure. Sorry, my phone was ringing on the other side. So there was support provided, but the application is still open, so they might be waiting on BOZA approval.
Understood. And then another question, there was no floor plan in the application. Is a floor plan required or?
It is not always required, but I did request from the applicant that they provide at least of the subject area of where the addition is going. So we don't require full housing floor plans unless it impacts that part of the house. Typically, oftentimes people do provide it, but it's not necessarily required to provide the entire property's floor plan. But we do our best to provide that if it's pertinent to the variance at hand.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering if like there's another stairwell or that was the only stairwell. That was my main question.
So, and I know the applicant can probably expand on that a little more.
Yes, Nikki. Thank
My
you.
question, thank you. My question was related to Drew's question as well. So I just want to understand the sequence of events. So if the landmarks board has something open, but they're waiting for BOZA, doesn't the landmarks board make a decision first before it goes to BOZA? Or what is the normal sequence of events there?
So not necessarily, this is kind of the chicken or egg type thing. We usually have to juggle these around. It's not required that be provided, but we do typically request because landmarks is a design board. So if the design changes, you wouldn't want to go to BOZA, get an approval, and then that design change and you have to go back to BOZA. So typically we wait for landmarks to do as much as they can, but them having to provide full approval is not required for somebody to go to BOZA. It's just typically recommended. And what I saw looking through the HIS application was that the support from the Landmarks Design Committee was provided, but I saw the case is still open. So Renee, who's here representing the application, might have a little more on the Landmarks history and how that's moving forward. But I just saw that the case was still open and not closed. So that's why I said it may not necessarily be fully approved at this point. But they did provide, I did see that they provided support of the overall design of the application. So design change shouldn't be in the future on this project.
Thank you.
Ben?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's a question for you, Robbie, or for Aaron, but does the city have rules on expanding a non-conforming structure? And if so, is that appropriate for BOZA to look at or not?
So in this case, it's not the expansion of a non-conforming use. That's typically where a special review has to come into play. This property is conforming to the use. It's just on a really small lot. So they're held to the maximum floor area and building coverage like any other property would be. It's just their maximum allowance is smaller because they have a smaller lot. So this property is a single family home. So expansion of floor area would be required if it was, say, a duplex or something like that. So because it's single family home, they don't have to go through any sort of a special review and they can just go straight to a variance.
Okay, thank you.
Nikki?
Robbie, going back to your slides where you had the, I don't know, it was probably like 2 slides before. Am I correct in saying that the addition is going to be less? Because when you talked about the rear north, and I think you said 25 feet were allowed, 25 feet were allowed, 21 before this one.
Not allowed.
Let's
Just
see.
want to clarify. So we're talking about setback requirements. I just want to make sure we're on the same
Yeah.
page.
This,
Right.
yeah, this, yes, this.
25 feet is, just make sure, Nikki. So we're 20, because I actually had trouble with this too, Robbie, so just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So 25 feet is required on the side and the rear on a conforming lot. That applies even though the lot is non-conforming, and that's why we're here for variance.
So
And-
the
Yeah, go
correct.
ahead.
Sorry, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, but I think what was confusing is this in the application. And when you talked about it a little bit, you're talking about the difference from the already encroaching. So it's already got a setback encroachment. It could never conform because the structure was built in 1902 before there was zoning. And it was built within the 25-foot setback, period. So what they're really asking for is more. more encroachment into the setback. Is that kind of what you were asking, Nikki? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
I was asking that, yes, and additionally, I was asking when we talk about the rear north, where they're asking for 15 feet where 21 feet exists today, so they're actually asking for it to be closer in to the home. But I have Jill's, the chairwoman's question as well.
Okay, so with that, so regardless of
I
how
see.
big the lot is, they're required the same setback requirements. So right now, we have the south yard, which is their front yard, which is, this is the 25-foot demarcation of the 25-foot front yard setback. We have the rear yard, which is shown right here. So you can see some of the house today does exist within the rear yard setback. And then we have the site adjacent to street equals front. It's their second front yard. That is this line right here. So all of this is what the applicant was showing is currently encroaching into a setback, is all of this hashed area right here. This is the new addition right here, the gray box area. So here's where the existing 21 feet Nikki is located. They're proposing it, the addition out to here, which is where that 15 feet comes in. And for the east yard, the existing setback is right here, about 6'11". And then the proposal right here is going to be stepped in by an inch or two to 7 feet. So this is where the 7 feet is coming from right here, if you can see my cursor. And this is where that 15 feet is coming from. So the hashed area is existing encroachment, and the blue box, the gray box is new addition, that 40 square feet that I keep touching on. So the two red lines are the two setbacks that the board is considering.
To piggyback on that, because I want to, because something you said made me think what my confusion is as well. What we're changing is 25 feet reduced to 21.2, which is existing, reduced further to 15 feet 8 inches.
Correct.
So the depth of their, from the distance of this addition to their backyard rear property line will be reduced from 21.2 feet to 15 feet 8 inches.
Correct.
Now,
and that's this measurement is right here. Is the reduction in setback in the rear yard. And then
so they're not asking for less, they're asking for more.
They're asking for more encroachment.
More encroachment. That's
yep.
right.
Thank you, Chairwoman, because that was where my confusion was. So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, it is confusing.
And that's more encroachment in the rear yard. For the east yard, they're actually stepping it back by a couple inches. So that would not be more on the east side. And that's where the 6'10" existing and 7 foot proposed comes in.
1 inch difference, yeah.
But yeah,
Thank
a
you.
1 inch difference.
And can I ask how much more encroachment is in the rear north? So maybe I just need to do math.
That is right here. That is about, looks like 5 foot
5
4
feet.
inches.
I think that's what they're trying to say, the 5'4" that they're talking about.
Thank you.
Additional encroachment.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions for Robbie, of staff before we move on to the applicant? Because those of you who asked applicant questions, you'll have your opportunity. So who is here on behalf of the applicant, please? Will you introduce yourself, give us your address, and proceed?
I am Renee Golobic, and I am at 3325 19th Street in Boulder, Colorado. And I am representing the applicant as their architect. I'd first like to start out. Oh,
sorry, never mind.
Go ahead.
You said your address. I missed.
okay. I will, Robbie did a great job of presenting. It is confusing to figure out how we're encroaching. And I was trying to talk to my son about this. He's only 13. So he's like, I don't understand what you're doing. And I'm like, I know. It's very confusing. And so that's why I was really trying to diagonally hatch and then shade the area which we're asking for. So ultimately, the homeowners who are on the call but have not been promoted, so I don't know if they can be promoted or not, but they have reasonably small house for Mapleton Hill District. They have a beautiful house. It is a contributing building in the Maple Hill District. So for the landmarks part, I think the moving forward was, let's get landmarks approval. And then that'll give us support for the BOZA application, right? The landmarks approval, I did get an email from Claire on Friday, and she said I did send a letter of support for 665 Maxwell based on the conditional approval for LDRC. Let's wait to hear what they say about it. Hopefully they'll approve the variance. Once you have that, we'll wrap it up on the landmark altercation certificate. And then she needs window details and color proposed. So just some minor details to wrap up her part, so that hopefully we'll answer the landmarks questions. And feel free to ask more. The idea of this addition is really that they have a very small, a smaller house. And to get to the basement now, you saw those pictures, it is like the stairs are super steep. They're, the risers are 9 inches and some higher. For code, you have to be 7 3/4. So for them to get down into the basement, which is more used for storage or somewhat of a cellar, because it's a rock rubble foundation in that area. So, but they want to use it. They have 2 kids. They want to expand into the basement to be able to, you know, grow and actually have, she is from Sweden, so she would want her mother-in-law comes and, or his mother-in-law, her mom comes from Sweden and stays quite a while. And, you know, I mean, it's nice to have a place for your family to come and feel welcome and to stay. So the idea is that we're going to finish the basement. And how to get to the basement, there's no other way to get to the basement inside the house without really destroying the character of the house. And there is one stairwell as you walk in that gets you to the 2nd floor. The way that stair works is a non-code compliant stair with the height, and getting underneath that way just would be, it would really wreck the structure of the house. And I think for the landmarks, we would have to do a little bit more outside work. So we felt like the lowest impact was to have an addition off the back, so we can make the stairs from the main level, go down to a platform, code compliant, be able to get back to the garage area that they have, and then be able to go down into the basement. So that 40 square feet is as minimal as possible. I think I have it like around actually 37 square feet, but I did want to make sure that, like, you know, I had enough room to be able to provide it with the energy code and make sure the walls are thick enough for those type of things that we will be required for the building. I believe let's see, I have your landmarks note from Claire and the floor plan. The existing floor plan does have stairs to go up. And the stairs to get down is the stairs that you saw in that back addition. So, is there additional questions?
Board members, this is your opportunity to ask the applicant's representative questions. Okay, Katie, do you have sound? Do we know? You're currently muted. Did you check?
Unmuting, yeah.
Perfect.
I was just wondering if Renee, could you just clarify again the way the stairs will be refurbished so that you've got that interim landing? And how is that a refurbishing of the existing stairs? So like, will part of the existing stairs still be used?
No.
Okay.
The existing stairs are not code compliant at all. Like, the way to get from the main level down onto the platform, like the platform to exit the house, as you see, those stairs are wood stairs, but the height is too high for code. So if we alter them in any way, the building code requires us to bring everything up to code. So for the addition as it stands, I can't get enough rise and run to be able to get down into the basement with the square footage I have now. So I'm only asking for the minimum amount for us to have a required landing at the top of the stairs from the main level, go down the stairs, and Robbie might have a floor plan of this to show, so I'm
I was
not
just gonna ask,
just.
do you mind if I share the screen? I didn't want to interrupt you, Renee, so.
No, yeah,
This
no,
was-
go right ahead, because
this
my
was
hands are
provided
really
within-
not helping.
This was provided within the application, so I think this is gonna help with what you're explaining right now.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, so off to the left here, you can see the stairs, you know, you got off to the left, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to get to the landing, very steep. And then there's even a riser in the middle of the door to step out onto the outside. So as you walk in from the outside, there is a riser directly in the middle, which is obviously non-code compliant. Then when you walk down to the basement, those are all stone rubble foundation. And the idea is, because this is a contributing building, we can't really change much of the exterior. So the existing walls, as you see, besides the one wall with the door in it, those walls will actually remain from the outside. The only thing we're changing is this little addition, this little existing part actually has screens in it. And so we've asked Landmark to approve that we put in fixed panes of glass so that it can be a conditioned space. It doesn't have to be a screened, non-conditioned space. So we've asked that the existing windows remain, the existing screens remain, but be able to have glass. And then as you walk down the stairs into, so on the right-hand side, you will see there's the landing at the top, the 3-foot landing, and then you have 6 risers that are 7 3/4. And then you hit a landing right there to where the door opens up into where you can open the door and go out the back to where you have the garage. And then at that landing, which is required, a landing is required for every, at the top and the bottom of the stairs, and it has to be minimally the width of the existing landing. So right there, I have 3 foot 2 inches, and the minimum is allowed to be 3 feet. So as you then turn down to go into the basement, I will have those risers be 13 risers at 3 1/4 minimum to head down into the basement. So I think that was a long-winded answer, but I will not refurbish the stairs. They cannot be reused. When I touch one part of the stairs for building code, I do have to remove them and make them code compliant. And they will have risers and handles and, handrails to go down.
Okay, thank you.
And Robbie, am I allowed to speak to the one email about the opposition?
And Jill, I believe you can make that call, but I wouldn't have any issue with it.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah,
We object to the concerns, but it would be good for you to address it, of course.
yeah. So I read his email to right before the meeting, and I just wanted to address, he is addressing the front adjacent front yard setback. So what I had considered the side yard, which is really the front yard side adjacent. And he's concerned about allowing for that 7 feet to be, set a precedent in every location. And it's that we already have that 7 feet. We already have 6 feet, 10 3/8 of an inch for the existing building. And the reason being is because it was built in 1906 and we didn't have zoning laws. We didn't have these, the actual plot of this building, it was built, I don't know, I can't remember the historic who lived there before and the contributing. It's always fun to figure out the history of the building, but I just wanted to say that we're not making that condition worse. And for the landmarks, we have to set it back just enough to make the difference between old and new.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Nikki?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have a few questions. You say that this is a small house. Can you tell me the square footage, the bedrooms, bathrooms for the small house?
Yeah, so there's a three bedroom, 2-bath house, and if we promote Stuart and Katerina, they're welcome to speak to that too. The upstairs has you know, this is the kind of area where, you know, you got the you can't, if the roof slope of the house, I don't have to actually have, you have to, how do I say this for the zoning? So the slope, the pitch of the roof, when you walk up the stairs, everything is, you know, 6 feet 8 inches is where I have to count the square footage. Well, a lot of these rooms are quite small, and the slope of the roof, where there isn't a dormer, allows for, like, you know, these little tiny crevices, and that's normal for a historic house. So what I mean is when you have this bedroom and you can put in a twin size bed for your kid, the little corners are, you know, not really usable, but somebody would use them. Like, we could put little niches in there and things like that. So that's what I mean is when you go up in the there's a roof slope. So I think, let me do you want to pull up the slide where the existing square footage is, Bobby?
So
Yes, I can do that.
what is this getting at, Nikki, is that there's not a floor plan, so you can't see the usable square footage of the upstairs. So even though it's in the neighborhood of 2,200 square feet, it's not, it's not fully usable at 2,200 square feet. I think that's what you're trying to say. I'm not trying
Right,
to put words
and
in your
that's-
mouth, Renee, but.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just trying to understand, you said it was a small house, and based upon what we have in the packet, I just wanted to understand from your definition what a small house was. And you said it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and 2,200 square feet. Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess I mean small house in comparative to other clients, especially in Maple Hill District, that want to demolish the whole house and build a 4,500 square foot house. They want to maximize any ability to get as much square footage as possible. So I feel like this house, being as small as it is, and allowing them to grow and change their basement and be able to use their basement and get stuff down and up, even if they don't, at the end of this, you know, we're going to remodel the basement is where it started. And then we realized that you can't even get to the basement in a code compliant manner. And so that's the reason for this addition.
So I want to remind the board something, just before we get further deep into this. It is our job to look at whether or not this variance is reasonable or not. We are not a design board. The information that's been provided to us, it sounds like it would have been helpful, I think would have been helpful, and I agree, it would have been helpful to have a floor plan showing that spaces in the house aren't usable given the roof slope. I can imagine it, but it's easier for us if we can see it. So it would have gone more to your point, but it doesn't, it's not required, it sounds like, Robbie, right? What the area we're talking about right now is a 40 square foot addition to accommodate a code compliant stair. I want to make sure everybody on the board understands what a code compliant stair is, because that's the piece that really goes to this. And it's not my job to advocate or not advocate for this application, but I feel like we're wandering into areas that really aren't relevant to this request. It's not for us to judge whether or not they can use their basement or not. It's not for us to judge whether or not their house is too big or too small. The question is the variance request the minimal needed? And, you know, we can go through the code and go through that. So Nikki, to the extent that your question, I totally understand the frustration with not having a drawing, and I feel like it would have been more explanatory for us. But I just want to make sure we don't get this broadened. Is that fair, Erin?
Yes, I think it's important to stick to the criteria. And one thing I will add about floor plans is that once someone submits a floor plan to the city, anyone can see it. And especially with identifying children's bedrooms, there are concerns about that. So we don't require it necessarily. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. So to the extent, Nikki, that you can narrow your questions to those relevant to that portion, I think it would be more helpful.
Okay, my next question is about the minimal amount of allowance here. So again, without seeing the floor plan, you mentioned that there's another stairwell, and you mentioned that using that stairwell to access the basement would have changed the character of the building.
So there is no other stairwell that goes to the basement. There is a stairwell that goes to the second floor.
Okay,
It's not really a
Yeah.
stairwell, it's a stair area.
Yeah.
Stairwell
It's
would be-
stairs. Yes, it's stairs that go to the second floor inside the house as you enter the building. And then this stairs that go to the basement that are existing are the ones we are discussing.
okay. My next question is with the picture that Robbie showed while you were giving your testimony.
Which picture was that? Was that the
That was
stairs?
yeah, that was the stairs.
Okay, let me pull that up again. And bear with me, I had that separately, so. And, all right. And I believe this is what you're talking about?
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
So my question is related to the, pull up my code. Minimum variance that would afford relief in the lease modification. So if I'm looking at the left and I'm looking at the right, what I'm not understanding is I'm understanding the proposed addition encroachment on the, I'm going to say the west side. I don't know if it's technically west, but on the left side of the proposed. I'm understanding that part. What I'm not understanding is the proposed encroachment to the north. Because what I'm seeing is there's a doorway and there are stairs to go down. So I'm not really understanding, and I understand the porch and not the screened in porch, but the glass porch. But then we're still having an encroachment here. And so what I'm trying to understand is why is this additional space needed instead of just the space that's opening the door and allowing for the stairs as they've been proposed on the right-hand side?
Can I ask another question with that, please?
Please.
Renee, is this the minimum required for code compliance stairs? Period.
This is the minimum for code compliance stairs. I need a 3-foot landing at the top of the stairs. I need the stairs to go down at a rise no higher than 7 3/4. So that requires me so many treads on the left, on the way going down to the first landing, it's 6 risers, and then going 13 risers from the landing down into the basement. So, and that's the minimum. You can't go any higher than 7 3/4. The existing risers change between are like 9. They're relatively too tall for that to work. Robbie, do you happen to have the section through? That one might
Is it in the
alleviate maybe
same-
some.
This is the document you provided, so.
All right,
is it
let's.
this?
Mhm.
Let's see. Oh, that's the end of that one. It might be above it. I pulled this directly from
Maybe.
materials.
Yeah, let me see. Maybe I didn't, I probably will have to talk through it. So you could go to maybe the proposed east elevation.
Yep.
And you
let me
can at
see.
least see.
Would you like 3D or architectural?
I think the architectural, so here on the left, you have, you can see the shaded addition on the bottom, right? So the, and you can see the height of the proposed first floor is at, right there. So right now, as we make the way down to the stairs, it's not code compliant and it's within that little, I wish I could be able to draw on it. Whiteboards? No, okay. On, when I do the landmarks one, I'm able to note. Oh, there we go. So here is the main floor, and then you step down. Ooh, like to, I mean, here, and then you walk, you go more into the basement, right? So these steps, as they are existing, are not code compliant and are relatively a hazard to the, you know, if somebody, if a building official came in and we were trying to adjust it or make it any way so that basically we could not, they cannot upgrade their basement without having the small addition. Because we cannot get a code of compliance stairs into the basement without allowing for an addition to allow for these stairs to get down to the basement.
Thank you,
Is that
Renee.
helpful?
I still have my question though. So if we can go back to the,
So Nikki, I don't understand your question either.
well, I like to go back to the picture because I'm confused. And if I'm confused, I'd like some clarity. So I'd like to go back to the picture that Robbie previously had up.
The image,
Floor
the
plan.
actual photo of the stairs?
No, not the photo of the stairs.
This is what I think you're.
Correct, correct.
Okay, so
I-
here, so I wanna, so here's my thing. I wanna ask Aaron. I don't think this is appropriate. I feel like we either don't have enough information for people to decide, or we don't have enough information for Nikki to understand. So I'm a builder of 40 years. I completely understand this issue. That's a handicap for me, Nikki, in trying to help you, because I don't understand what your confusion is. This is the minimum required in order for them to transition from upstairs to downstairs. It can't be done any other way, according to Renee. If you are asking, is there another way to do it? Then I think, yeah, we have to say to them, you haven't presented enough information for me, Nikki, to make a decision. I don't understand this. And I think that's fair. I am not arguing with you at all. I'm just saying, I don't know if we're going to get out of it in words what you're looking for. We can try, but Aaron, do you have a comment on it?
I think I understand, and Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I see what you're seeing, that on the right-hand side of that document, it shows where the door enters in the required landing space. But then on top of that, it says something proposed addition.
And then on top of that, it says
7.2.
proposed encroachment on top of that.
Right, and is that what you're not
Is that what you're
understanding
asking?
too?
That is what I'm asking
Okay,
about.
that's,
I'm
I
ask-
think that's a fair question, because this diagram is hard to tell where the proposed construction is. Is it limited to where the door swings in, or is there something beyond that? Am I restating it accurately, Nikki?
That
I
is my
appreciate
question.
that. I
That-
had no idea what you were talking about. You're talking about the lines that are on this drawing that look like they're the proposed addition. That is,
Well,
yeah.
And what I'm being very specific about is, Robbie, if you can just scroll, I guess, down a little bit where I can see sorry. up.
Other than, sorry.
My question specifically is about this proposed encroachment, because we've already talked about, where are my notes? We're already talking about the building already encroaches because it existed before the code was written. I understand that. But we're asking for a 5-foot additional encroachment, which is where the 7 feet 1 1/4 inches proposed encroachment is. So my question is, why I'm trying to understand the reason for the additional 5 feet of encroachment. My question is related to the minimum variance that would be afforded relief. Is that 5 foot the minimal variance that could be afforded? Or is it at this 7 foot 2 inches where the proposed addition is? Because either way, whether it's
Got
at 7 foot 2 inches, or if it's at that 7 foot 1¼ inches, it's going to encroach. I understand that. My question is the minimal variance that would afford relief. And so that's what I'm trying to understand. Do you need that 5 feet? Is that required by something to need that 5 feet? Or could it be at that 7 foot 2 inch proposed addition mark? Or at the, oh,
So let me ask a question, Nikki, just to make sure, now I think I understand what you're asking. Is it, when you look at this drawing, right? And you see and I want clarification from the architect. Those darkened lines to me that are where it says 5'4" proposed addition encroachment. And those are the walls that you are proposing to build, correct?
Yes.
And the box lines that are and I can't point to it, right? So Robbie, if you'd point to it where it says proposed addition and the slash lines, not that one up here where it says 7 foot 2.
Oh,
And
there we
below
go.
that, right, 7¼ and 7 foot 2. Is this structure, or are these just lines trying to explain the 5'4"?
I actually think I know. So all of this, the addition's not out here. This is the addition. And we're talking about 2 different setback encroachments. Both are depicted on the same diagram. We have number 1, rear yard encroachment. Right now, the entrance is right here. You can see it hashed out. They are expanding into the rear yard 5'4" more than what is there today. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the east setback, which is this 714 encroachment. And that's just telling you the width of the addition. And the proposal is for it to be at 7 feet, which is right here. So we've got I'm sorry, that yellow box keeps popping up. We've got both the encroachment to the rear yard, which is the 5'4" additional. And then we've got the encroachment into the east yard, which technically is 7'1½ encroachment, but the existing building's already about an inch beyond that. So those are the 2 encroachments. All of this out here is not the addition. It's just this gray boxed area right here. This is the 40 square feet. So what Renee was saying was, in order to meet building code, you have to have a landing with the 3-foot landing, which is what all of this is, with also the existing stairs. This was the minimum of this configuration in order to meet the purpose of the project, which is to build code compliant stairs. This was the minimum per Renee to accomplish that, and to something that building code could require. So they're asking for additional encroachment to the rear and to the east setback, which is what this is showing. So right here is just that 40 square feet. And Renee is saying this is pretty much the minimum needed to build a code compliant entrance and stairs.
thank you. I don't have another.
And this little section right here is just the, you have to have an exterior landing, like a concrete landing when you exit a building. So that's just a concrete landing when we're walking outside. So this little blue box I drew is the outside. And then this little box will be the actual addition, the actual built addition that will go into it. These numbers above that are a little, like there's this number and then there's this number. So this is 7'1¼ is the actual encroachment. My addition will be 7 feet 2 inches. So there's 3/4 of that inch that I'm not asking for that encroachment. It is actually on the other side. But so that might be a little bit of a confusion, but that's for the east encroachment. And then this is the 5 feet 4 inches of the minimum amount that is required to get me code compliant stairs to go to the rear. So I think that your concern is this number, the 5 feet 4, where you're understanding the east setback, but the north setback, I think, is what the proposed addition and the encroachment is. So the reason for that is because I need more stair treads than I have currently to get to the location into the basement. So I need that additional square footage so I can get additional treads. Is that helpful? And
Yeah,
not
but-
more confusing?
I don't have any other additional questions.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Do you want to go around and see where people are? Nikki, are you satisfied? Oh, yes, Erin, yeah.
Please don't forget members of the public who would like to
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
comment.
Yeah, there was a lot of talking there. And your applicants, do they have anything they want to say either? Or are we done?
They are on, so, I don't know if you can promote them if. I think that we can move forward with the public if need
Okay.
be.
So is there anyone here? Is Thomas here? Because I don't see him right now.
Hi, I'm here. I just turned my camera off in preparation for putting the timer on.
Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak to this, Thomas?
Yeah, we do have one raised hand, and if anybody else would like to speak, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Thank
You'll
you.
have 3 minutes to speak.
I'll just remind that all speakers must speak into the microphone and give their names and addresses, please. And it's a 3-minute time limit, right? We didn't.
Yes, that's
change that.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
So Robert Compton, you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and click allow you to talk, and then I'll turn the timer off. Can you hear me now?
Robert, are you there? Can you proceed, please?
Trying to help me.
We cannot hear you.
I can hear Robert. It's just very quiet.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Okay, sorry, I'm literally, my nose is to my computer.
It's good now.
So I'm Robert Compton, and I'm at the 652 Concord. And first off, I want to withdraw my objection. And the reason is, I couldn't understand what was exactly going on. But having seen Robbie's presentation and Renee's comments, it makes sense to me, and I have no problem at all with it. I would like to make one other point real quickly. I hope this doesn't embarrass him, but I think the board should know you have an excellent associate in Robbie Weiler. He was incredibly responsive to a flurry of emails from me, and he was very kind, very patient. And as an old man, I really appreciate that. So thank you, Rob. I just wanted the board to know that.
Thank you, Robert. We do appreciate Rob very much. Nice of you to say so. Okay, so usually we do a straw poll, basically, especially because there have been, at least Nikki, you've got a lot of questions. So fairly enough. Should we go around and have some discussion here before we have a motion? Who would like to speak first?
I'll jump in. I think this meets the criteria. I think it's as has been stated by the staff and through the applicant's presentation, it is a smaller lot. It's a historic home. To me, this is the kind of situation where this is kind of why variance exists as a mechanism in the code. And the applicants proposed as what's been characterized as a modest proposal to just do the minimum required for life safety to finish out their basement. Seems reasonable to me. It's not a hardship they created. I don't see any other criteria that they're running afoul of, so I'm in favor.
Thank you, Ben. Anyone else? Katie, Drew?
No, I think Ben articulated it well. I was pretty much gonna say much the same thing. It seems like the minimum required. And So I'm in favor.
Thank you. Drew?
Yep, I concur. Going through the criteria, I think it meets all the criteria.
Nikki?
I would be in favor.
Thank you, Drew.
I believe it meets all the criteria.
Thank you. I want to say that as hard as that was, part of that is because the application is confusing. I just want to say fairly, Renee, I think that you have to know when you come to this board that not everybody has a building background. And so making it really clear with some cross sections, I think would have made it a lot easier to understand. And I know it feels like a criticism. I'm just trying to say next time you come to us, and you may come to us in the future, just be mindful of the fact that not everybody's necessarily going to know how to read plans and understand what's happening exactly. And Nikki works very hard with that stuff, and I've seen great strides with it. And I too was confused by these drawings. So, however, I agree that this is the minimum required, and I think we're there. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll
Make a
move.
motion.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Drew, go.
I was gonna have to search for the docket number, so you go ahead, Drew.
Me too. I make a motion to approve Bose 2024-0000.
0,
6,
7.
7. I didn't see that guy.
I know it's hard. Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor will go around. Nikki, please.
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
aye for me. The motion is approved unanimously. Thank you for your time, both to you, Renee, and for the applicants, and Robert for coming on and talking to us as well. Thank you. Okay, at this point in the meeting, we have no other items on the agenda. The public, and of course, I probably never said the public hearing was closed. I'm falling down on the job. So at this point, do we have any matters from the attorney? City attorney?
No, nope, I have no matters. Thank you.
From the board? Yes, Nikki.
Madam Chair, I appreciate your comments earlier. I have a lot of questions. It's true that I don't have a building background.
Yep.
But I care about my duty here, and I want to make sure that I always understand before I make a decision. And so, and I'm a capable person, I'm a smart person.
Yep.
But I'm going to ask questions, and sometimes those questions may not make sense to other people, but they make sense to me. I'm not trying to derail any type of conversation. I'm really trying to have an understanding, because I want to vote in a way that I feel good about, and that's reflective of my service on this board. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that I'm going to keep asking questions, because it's my nature. I always question everything, because I want to make sure at the end of the day that my vote is something that I believe in and I stand by. And I appreciate all of my colleagues with all of your questions, with piggybacking on my questions, with asking clarifications. Is this what you meant? I appreciate that, because that's part of the learning process. But I just want to make it known that it's not my intent, and I'm not trying to derail any process or to bring us into territory that is not appropriate for our decision making. So I just want to make sure that I made that very clear to everyone as well. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Nikki. Anything else from the board? Yes, Ben.
Robbie, next time, if you could just ask the applicant to write landing on that little concrete square.
Yep, okay. Noted, definitely noted.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad saying something, but I think a lot of the confusion was generated by limitations of the drawings.
Yeah.
And so Nikki, I appreciate your questions. That's why I said, I understand, but when we look at it, it's just not clear and it's not fair. I mean, some of people here are lay people. it should be clear. It's not that hard. I mean, we got there, but so part of what, and if you'd like to know what I was going to is send her back. So I was actually at the point of saying, if this isn't clear enough to make a decision, then let's give them a delay, let her redraw, let her make it more clear. And that's where I was going. It was not about faulting you. I was more sort of saying, come on, this is not that hard. If it's this hard, it's this hard because your drawings aren't clear, not because your questions aren't good questions. So, and we've done it before, right, Robbie? That we have sent people back. You know, we can't make this decision. It doesn't make sense to any, you know, to some portion of the board. That's where it goes. So I'm glad we got there, but that's where I was going. So, okay. You got anything for us, Robbie?
Got a couple things. I just want to respond to Nikki saying you're always more than welcome to reach out to me on the side. Even if you wanted to talk tomorrow to kind of talk about what happened tonight, I'd be more than happy to discuss it. That's kind of what I'm here for, is to hopefully answer all the questions that are asked. And then also, it's always a learning experience for me, which is I do my best to get a clear document in front of the board to where hopefully questions don't come up like what you had, but sometimes they do. So asking questions like that always keeps us on our toes. So we love that. So please always feel free to ask questions like you did. And if you ever just want to talk on the side about anything, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And then beyond that, application deadline for the August 13th meeting was yesterday, and it looks like we have 2 applications. I have yet to do formal completeness checks on them, but it does appear we are going to have an August 13th meeting. So as always, if you think you're going to be gone or have a planned absence, let us know as soon as possible. And then we'll probably still ask again if you're going to be absent. We tend to forget about that. So just August 13th, it looks like we're going to have a meeting. So let us know if there's going to be any conflict with your attendance. And that's it.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thomas?
We do also have the June 11th meeting minutes for approval in the packet, if you all had a chance to review those.
That's right.
I make a motion to approve the June 11th meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I,
Yeah, I think we got them all kind of sequentially there. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else? I think we're good for now. We'll see you all in August, and thank you again, each of you, for your service. I appreciate it as well.
You too, Joel.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night.